When I took a course out in Indio on counseling, the course was called Self-Confrontation. And one of the greatest things I learned coming back from that course is not necessarily counseling or any of that. I learned those things, how to counsel through the Word of God, and that was great. But I remember the instructor, somebody in class had a question, and they were asking, how do we do devotions? How do we spend time in the Word of God? Do we start in Genesis and take it through Revelation? Do we read it with a commentary? Do we read one verse at a time to make sure we understand it? Or do we just go through it knowing that it's getting in? And I'll never forget this. One of the instructors shared and said, why don't you read with where you're struggling? I thought to myself, wow, I never really thought about that. But she says all of us have struggles. All of us have temptations. The enemy is constantly trying to come at us in a certain way. And so with the very things that you're struggling with, God has something to say about it. God has a ready word for you to be able to navigate through and combat that temptation with that word. And so I thought, man, that's pretty powerful. And so yes, as we go through the word, we can do it all of those ways. But at a minimum, we should do it in the way that we know we're being tempted with. We know that the enemy is coming at us with. Maybe a question that we have. Maybe a doubt that we have. Just a struggle. An internal thing that nobody really knows about. Well, what does the Bible say about that? The world says this, or professors say this, or people who are in the know say this. What does the Word of God have to say about that? And we can spend time looking for those scriptures that we can come back at the enemy with.